awareness of our faults, can overlook errors in our understanding, but an absence of sincerity is one of the hardest things. How do we recover that state of purity that makes us fearful for our intention? Well, by looking to see if our inward state is logically the consequence of what we're mouthing. Do we have La ilaha illallah in our hearts as well as in our mouths? The mouth is easy to control. It's the easiest part of our bodies to control, and we tend to let that jabber on all day, hardly thinking. Very little effort of will is required to set the mouth moving. But the heart, to move the heart, that's the hardest thing. The heart is a vulnerable, fluctuating thing. يتقلب, that's what the Arabic word means. It moves this way and that, in accordance with winds that pass across it, over which we have very little control. We can try at most to be in places and with people where the winds are good and perfumed, rather than with foul, polluted smells. But we can't direct our hearts. Allah is muqallib al-qulub, the one who turns the hearts. So the great challenge that religion is holding out to us is to make the inward and the outward compatible with each other. If they are not at ease with each other, there will be a tension, and we will be ill at ease, we will be stressful, we will fear. So what's the connection between La ilaha illallah and its implications in the heart? What does it really mean when we say that behind the multiplicity of creation, glorious diversity which Allah in His sovereign freedom has decreed shall exist in His kun fayakun, all of this endless, as one of the poets said, unfolding of the peacock's tail. And heaven knows He could have made the world to be any other way, but He has chosen to make it beautiful, and diverse, and a haven for humanity. He is the one who made all of this in order that it might be a set of signs pointing back to Him, because if we have sound hearts, we will know that none of this can have any point of origin other than Him. The believer is the one who looks and sees evidence of His glory and His beauty. The unbeliever is the one who looks and sees nothing but curious scenery that has no author at all. But to see through things, to see the world truly as a set of signs, we need some kind of formal principle, and that formal principle has been given to us as an ummah in this very simple formulation, La ilaha illallah. No creed, no statement of belief could be simpler than that, and this is part of His mercy, subhanahu wa ta'ala, to humanity in this late and wicked period of human history. People are weak, we have short attention spans. All we can manage is some very simple concept, and this is the simplest, indispensable concept. No God but God. He is the author of all of this cosmic splendor. And this is the difference between the believer and the unbeliever, and the believer and the munafiq. وَلِلَّهِ خَزَائِنُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلَكِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ. Allah's are the treasuries of the heavens and the earth, but the munafiqs don't understand. So, a symptomatic proof of the presence of Iman could be a sense of confidence that everything that comes to us from the same author of the beauty and the splendor and the symmetry and the purpose of the world. Forms of creation are beautiful without exception. Sometimes that beauty may be veiled from us. Sometimes the beauty may lie in a sort of rigor, a tremendous phenomenon in existence. The collisions of galaxies, the immensities of the human experience and the depths of the human soul. Those great signs that he has created that sometimes don't seem beautiful but ultimately have a majesty to them. All of this connected back to the one source. So this is why the most fundamental differentiation really in the cosmos is between the one who says La ilaha illallah and the one who just thinks it's scenery that hasn't been painted by anyone. Now the Prophet ﷺ was the one who saw this better than anyone and literally did see it. This is one of the secrets of the Murad, taken up from the rock in Jerusalem through the seven heavens to the presence of his Lord, the maqam of Qaba Qawsayn. In some sense that's unimaginable to us, he saw Tawheed. And when he returns, alayhi salatu wassalam, he continues in his glorious maqam, his state of tafweed, handing things over to his Lord. And in the Medina period in particular, we see the perfect balance in the soul of somebody who on the one hand knows that everything is from his Lord without exception because he alone is creator and sustainer of the world. And on the other hand, a ceaseless action for the betterment of his people. No one believed in Allah's unique controlling power more than he did. No one acted more consistently and unceasingly for the improvement of the world more than he did. These are two aspects of his perfection which we need to get in focus together. Sometimes we can assume that the divine omnipotence justifies laziness. Sometimes we can work in the world and despair because we tend to lose sight of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the author of everything. But he, alayhi salatu wasalam, shows how these two things are mysteriously combined. And this is his tafweed. Tafweed does not mean giving up, resignation. Tafweed means submission to his commands and putting oneself in the way of his beneficent decree. Now this maqam of tafweed, handing things over to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the quality which the believers should try and arm themselves with again in the testing times in which we live. How do we know whether we really mean it when we say La ilaha illallah, or if we've just kind of inherited it and we'd feel bad if we were saying something else? How do we know that we really mean it? Look at the consequences. Look at the link between the lips and the heart. How big is the gap?